Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Today we got my good friend Carlos Reyes with All In Nation, another big operator in the Phoenix market. He's here for the third time. He's going to talk about how he went from flipping cars on Craigslist to owning 30 plus businesses, if you can imagine that. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Steve Trang, sales trainer, and every month we help hundreds of people buy more houses at deeper margins. If you want more information about that, DM me the word sales on Instagram. And I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires, and the information on this podcast alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you will take consistent action, I promise you will become one. And the show is brought to you by InvestorLift. So get access to over 2 million cash buyers across the country. Go to investorlift.com, put in Disruptors to get 10% off. And if you get value today, please tag a friend below or share this episode right now. That way we can all grow together. And this is a live show every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Arizona time. We are hiring, so if you're interested in working with us, go to disruptors.com/hiring, and we do have a brand new Discord channel. Click the link below in the show notes to join our Discord channel. You ready?
Yeah. Are you done? No,
I'm done. Hey, it's got a little bit longer. A
lot has changed since the last time I was here.
A lot has
I've
changed.
been here like 3 years. So
It's
3
been,
years.
Can you believe that?
3 years, man.
I remember you sent me a message like, hey, it's been 3 years. And I was like, there's no way it's been 3 years.
I think I should just get on here like every 3 years.
I think you should probably come here
Just
more
to
often.
see where I'm at.
More often. Oh, yeah, just get regular updates.
Yeah.
But when you came on, right, like you and Sal were the second episode.
Yeah.
And that was when I knew, like, holy crap, like, we have something here. Because I think we had, like, 70-something.
I think you had Templeton.
Templeton was number one.
And then, yeah.
Templeton was number one, and you and Sal were number two. But we went, like, because the Templeton, I still remember, because, you know, vanity metrics, right?
For
like,
sure.
I got 35 live views in the first one. I was like, well, okay, that's pretty cool. Because people say, like, getting 2 or 3 is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you guys, we had over 70. And then when you guys came back, we had over 300.
Yeah, I feel like at one point everybody wanted to know what Sal and I were doing. Mm-hmm. I don't think they really care now.
I think I disagree.
I'm joking.
Well, but the reason why I'm disagreeing is that everyone's in different points of their journeys, right? I mean, we hear people that reach out to me and like, you know, here's where I'm at. Like, I haven't done a deal yet, or I just closed my first deal, but I only made 3,000. It's like don't.
Wait, hold on. You can't even get on this podcast if you just did one deal.
No, I'm talking about the people that DM me.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the DM me.
Like, what's going on here?
And I was like, don't measure, right? Like, we all start somewhere, and you started.
For sure.
Flipping cars on Craigslist.
Yeah, man. So that's actually how Sal's partnership with me actually came together. He gave me the opportunity. So Sal, you know, I was working a 9-to-5 job and actually already flipping cars at a small dealership that he owned. And he really, you know, we became best friends in 2013. And he was like, hey, man, he's like, you want me to take you to the car auction and maybe you can flip a car or two and make some money? So he took me to the car auction in 2013. And I bought a car. It was a Saturn Ion 07. I bought it for $2,500, and I sold it for $5,000. And I made $2,500 in 24 hours. And Sal was like, hey, man, you can sell anything. He was like,
so he showed you how to do it, or where to go. He showed you where to go.
Yeah.
And then you showed him how it's done.
Oh, I flipped that thing in 24 hours to a person on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, and so that. He was like, man, I like the way you move, you know, and then we became best friends, and he started getting to know like what my core values were and my principles were and who I was as a person, and vice versa. You know, he already had a partnership with his brother and his father in the car industry, and he's like, hey, man, you know, I really want to do something with you. You know, what do you think of that? I want to partner up with you. This was around 2014.
Well, hang on before we get into that, right? Like, if you could sell, right? You sold that thing quick. Mm-hmm. This is probably not your first sales job.
No. I've been selling since I was 5 years old in Mexico.
Yeah.
Which I probably, for those people this is the first time that I'm on here as an individual. I should probably in a 2-minute, you know, 2-minute rapid fire, just maybe tell people like, you know, how the hell I even got here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So. My first sales job was I was 4 or 5 years old selling bread in my neighborhood in Mexico, going door to door. My brother and I, that's what we were doing in Mexico. And what a lot of people may not understand, and I still get a lot of hate for this when I say that Mexico doesn't have a middle class. I don't know if you've seen some of the comments on my TikTok or on my Instagram or even on Facebook. I just posted a video yesterday about like, me being one of the few Mexicans that doesn't know how to landscape. I didn't say all Mexicans landscape. I said I'm one of the few Mexicans that doesn't do their own landscaping.
Yeah.
I have 150 something thousand views in one day on TikTok from yesterday, and I have over 500 hate comments.
For what?
Who do you think you are? I mean, I laughed at the first 5, and then I just kind of just like didn't read the rest, the other 400.
Well,
right?
what are they hating you for?
I don't know. They thought I was talking down on my own people, and I'm like, hello. I'm like, hey, unlike you, sir, I'm a Mexican from Mexico. You're a Chicano. You were born in this country with a lot more security than I was. And what I mean by that is this, right? I was born into dirt poverty in Mexico. My house, 350 square feet, had no bedrooms, no bathrooms. On one side, and dirt floors, by the way, and no running electricity and no running water. My running water was when a guy came up in a huge truck with a big old container, and we got gallons from there, okay? That's how we stacked up our water for the week. Our electricity were literally gas lamps that my grandmother would put together. It's like, have you ever seen those gas lamps? You put gas,
Yeah.
you light it up, there's a little knob, and you can, you can
adjust it, yeah.
it goes up and down, right? That was us for like the first several years of our childhood. And like I said, in that 350 square foot home that was built by hand by my grandfather, it was made out of like little plywood and wood. The structure was wood, dirt floor, and then plywood, and then laminate roofing. And on one side, one queen bed was there, and it was my grandfather and my grandmother. And on the other side, it was me and my brother on one twin bed, and then my mother on another twin bed. There was no living room, there was no bedrooms, there was no bathrooms.
I'm still tripping out about the part where people are upset with you about the landscaping comment. Are these like Hispanic people?
These are Hispanic people.
Okay, so they're like, you're talking bad
attacking.
about us. Like, you think you're better than us kind of deal.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And I know, if they, this is the ignorance of people, by the way. More than likely, just your average social media viewer only sees the first, how many seconds of the video?
Half
3
a
to
second.
5, right?
No,
Okay.
like first half a second
So
before
they
swipe
saw
up.
the beginning of the video when I say, I might be one of the only Mexicans that that doesn't know how to do their own landscaping, or that doesn't do their own landscaping. And then I talked about the message was your monetary return on time.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, if I'm making $10,000 an hour and I'm paying my landscaper, $1,600 a month to come, once a week, right? That's about $400 a week or whatever. I have an acre, so it's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
You break that down by the hour. I said, I am making way more than what I would be making if I was doing my own landscaping. I said, I like to measure my return on time at all times. At all times.
It's really weird.
It's probably not really weird, but it's
So
the weird is not the word that we're going to use to describe what you're about to say. But go ahead.
So I grew up here, right? Growing up in Arizona, and I went to California for graduate school. For UC San Diego, and that was the very first time I ever seen an Asian landscaper. Right? It wasn't until I went to California.
I've never seen an Asian landscaper.
It wasn't until I went to California that I was like, "We're allowed to landscape?" I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, all right. So going back to sales skills.
Yep.
Door to door selling bread.
Yep. So again, it's congruent with my story, right? Born in dirt poverty, born in Mexico, we had no choice as kids but to proactively try to generate income. So my first, in our neighborhood, my mom was, at that time, I think she was cleaning resorts. She was cleaning hotel rooms at a resort. And, we were hanging out after school at one of my friend's house, and his mom would bake bread, and it was pretty damn good. So even at the age, I was around 5 years old, I said, hey, why doesn't your mom bake enough bread so we can go and sell it? They never even thought of that, right? But I saw people selling gum, bread, like food. Like I saw, like my people, Mexican people, like we are out there hustling, right? Think about this, all right? When you go to Mexico, I don't know if you go to Mexico, do people come up to you and just ask you for money, or do people try to provide a service and then ask for money?
Yeah, they try to sell you something.
They try to sell you something. They try to clean your windows. They try to clean your cars. They try to clean something and then like give me the money, right?
Right.
So that's the way that I was programmed and conditioned. So,
That's interesting though, because that's a really good point. Because It's not unusual here to see people
exactly.
asking
It's
for money.
different. Yeah.
Over there, they're
We're
like,
selling something.
let
We're
me
doing
let me
something.
hustle you on something.
And then you pay me a tip.
Right.
You pay me whatever. You
But
pay me
there's a somewhat exchange of value.
there's an exchange of a service for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, that was my first sales job, man. Is I was going door to door selling bread. I would keep 50% of the earnings, and I would give. It was like, I guess, like a JV deal, right? Like give 50% to the baker, which was my friend's mother, and keep 50% for myself. And that was my first ever entrepreneurship venture.
Yeah. So you think the sales skills you got from door knocking, selling bread, translated eventually to
I think
Craigslist?
not only that, brother, but I saw my mother, right? I saw my mother slang electronics, cars, clothes. Like I saw my mom hustle. Like her regular job. Think about it, right? My mom used to make $4.25 an hour. Like she had 2 jobs, and then her third job was to hustle. Whatever she can get her hands on and flip. All right, I'm gonna buy this stereo here, and I'm gonna flip it here for an extra $30. You see what I'm saying? Like she was always trying to get it.
You know, it's funny because I've never thought about this until you brought this up. So, like with my dad, you know, both my parents are always working between 60 and 80 hours of work. Never saw them, right? Not a bad thing. It's just they were working.
That's just
they were
what it
busting their
was,
butts,
yeah.
right? And now that you mention this, my dad would like regularly on weekends, like go fix someone's garage, go fix their VCR, help them do their taxes, just for like a little extra money. And I never really thought about it till just
It
now.
adds up.
Yeah.
It adds up. And, you know, at that time, let's be honest, right? The dollar was worth way more than it is right now. Like back then, you know, a dollar actually had some weight, you know?
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, think about it. Like, what is the dollar worth with all the inflation that's going on in the world? But not only that, but, you know, I always talk about this, right? I'm like, what's worth more? Or what has more value, a dollar earned or a dollar saved? Have I ever told you the story?
No, but I mean, I would argue present dollar, so the dollar earned versus the dollar saved.
You think the dollar earned is more than the dollar saved?
Dollar saved is going to be 90 cents next year.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Here's the lesson. A dollar saved is a dollar.
Yeah.
A dollar earned is not a dollar. After they take Social Security, after they take, you know, your insurance, after
FICA.
they take your, everything, right?
Yeah.
You end up with what, 50, 60 cents maybe after all that? Taxes, right? So a dollar saved is a dollar. A dollar earned is not really a dollar.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of power, right? There's a lot of power, you know, when you're saving money, right? For those people out there that don't know how to save money, let that be an incentive that a dollar saved is far worth more than a dollar earned.
Sure.
You know, so I just want people to understand the difference there, that not just because you're making a dollar doesn't mean that you are getting a dollar.
Well, not just that though, right? Because I think one of the biggest problems we have, and I think that, you know, you and I probably play a decent factor in this, is that we're always talking about, like, you know, how much money you make and this fee and this and that. But to your point, that $15,000 check is not $15,000. That $15,000 check, even before taxes, right? You got the marketing cost, the overhead, and this and that. Like that $15,000 after tax and everything might be like $2,500, right? $3,000.
Yeah, depending on what your average deal cost is, once you factor in, you know, commissions and marketing and all kinds of other things.
Yeah.
So you're right. Yeah,
That's a good point.
for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my first sales job. And by the way, if anybody out there is wondering how the hell I got to this country, well, I got to this country. I came legally to this country twice. The first time was through California. You know, and I'll just 1 minute of this is. Literally, my mother carried my brother on one hand, and she dragged me, kind of pulled me through a sewer canal with her other hand to get into Escondido, California. We went through a border called San Isidro next to TJ. We failed. I attended the second grade. I stayed after school, and I was in the ESL, like English as a second language, and I was like doing my best to learn English because at that time, man, I was getting bullied. From like other, again, if you look at my comments, other Mexicans and Hispanics, which are Chicanos, were like, haha, you can't speak English. Like they were like, you know what I mean? Like the W word. I don't know if you know what the W word is. I was getting called every name of the book by my own people at that time. It wasn't even like, I had a white friend named Patrick who would bring an extra sandwich so I can eat, and he was like my best friend. He was white, right? I had a black friend named Larry, and we would play basketball. It was like the Hispanic people that were like, constantly just bullying me. It was the weirdest thing in the world. Anyway, lasted about a year, and then you know, my mother's income was just not enough to survive in California. We went back to Mexico, and the entire family made fun of us. You know, they were like, "Ha ha, I told you so." right? Because they were like, no, what are you doing? What? No, my mom's a visionary. You know what I mean? That's where I get a lot of my traits, my good traits from, right? No, her name is Vicky. No, Vicky, you're a woman. Your sons are undocumented. You're the youngest one of all of them. Like, no, of all of us, they have 11 siblings. Like, no, what are you thinking? You're gonna put yourself at risk, your life at risk, and your kids at risk. What are you thinking? She's like, this is just a sacrifice that I have to make for my children, so my children can have better than what's going on here.
Right.
That was her vision, and her vision came into a reality, right? It came. But this is the important part, man. We went back to Mexico, and I'm like, man, I clearly, vividly remember now. We went back to Mexico, and she had a plan. Her plan was to get us back over here. But this time, she said, hey, I have some people in Phoenix, and they tell me that it's more affordable there. And she's like, okay, Mom, so what's the plan? What are we going to do? She's like, well, you're going to go bag groceries, which I went to bag groceries at a retail store. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm going to continue to clean the hotel rooms, and we're going to save up enough money. And I'm going to come over here first, which is her. She's going to come over first. She's legal. And then I'm going to bring you first. You're my oldest. And then I'm going to bring your brother. Sure thing, man. A year and a half later, we had already sent her. She brought me over. She paid a guy $25 to get me through a fence. And then she got me to Phoenix, and she started my paperwork process in 1997. And then I got a work permit first. And then a year later, I got a permanent resident card. And then 5 years later, I got my citizenship. So it took me over 15 years to get to become a citizen of this country, and I wouldn't trade that for anything, man. Like, look what's happened in my life. Yeah. Because of her vision, by the way. And I retired her in 2017. I retired her in 2017, and she gets to live the rest of her life retired by her son because of the sacrifices that she made, and I get to live my life in victory because of the sacrifices that she made. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I changed. Like, I'm the first millionaire in my family. I'm the first millionaire in my family.
It's huge. So let me ask you, we're talking about the sales, right? Like, did you sell anything else along the way? And I'm asking this question, right? Like, it's interesting. The trending video I have right now on Instagram is something I posted like 2 months ago, but like it went viral yesterday. It's so weird how Instagram works. But it was talking about like, hey, we hire drug dealers, right? Like, it wasn't exactly we hire drug dealers. Like, we're not opposed to it, right? But DM me. So, right?
Wow.
And so, I mean, were there any other hustles that you had along the way?
Yeah, I sold. So I flipped anything that I can get my hands on. One of the most humbling situations was selling clothes at the swap meet. Mm-hmm. And this is in my 20s, by the way.
Yeah, that's gotta be very humbling going to swap meet.
Yeah. So my 9-to-5 job just wasn't really paying the bills. After like taxes are taken out, insurance, 401k, IRA. I mean, I'm left with, like, after I pay the bills, $200 to $300. Mm-hmm. It was hard. It was really hard, man. To at that point, I have my wife, I have my child, and I'm like, man, this is not living. Like, this is not living. So what I did was, my buddy, one of my best friends, Spencer, he would come across deals where he would get clothes really cheap from, I didn't ask from where or from who, right? Like, he would
fell out of a truck.
Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. But what I would do, like my part, I was a salesperson, and I can talk to people. So I said, hey man, why don't we go set up shop every single Saturday at the swap meet? And sure thing, we would pay $180 to $200 to get our little booth. Mm-hmm. We would bring our little table. We would put all the brand new jeans and shirts and all that, and we would make a few $100s every weekend hustling. So that was one. I almost became a millionaire twice, by the way. Not from that, mm-hmm. right? And not from selling cars, and not from selling diabetic test strips. No. I almost became a multimillionaire because I had the vision. One of my friends had a up-and-coming artist in the Mexican regional music industry. His name is Luis Coronel. He was like the Justin Bieber he was like young, good looking, had a hit of 4 or 5 million plays, whatever. Like, this guy was the next hot thing, and they didn't have a merchandise. Department. And I was like, hey man, because I was already flipping clothes and hats, right? I'm like, hey, what if I create a merchandise department for the artist? He's like, let's do it, right? Sure thing. I set up a bigcartel.com site with like all the different, I came up with like the different models of shirts, and hats, and we started making $15,000 to $30,000 a month in gross revenue. But I mean, to make close, it's not a lot. So we were probably in the 90% net profitability. And after 3 months, I'm like, all right, man. So can we put some things together in writing? And then he's like, not him, but the other side of management. They were like, hey, we'll take it from here.
Yeah.
Boom, screwed.
Yeah.
Screwed. Like we're making 15 to 30,000 and it's just beginning to take off. We're not even at the concerts yet.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like if I'm at the concerts and we're selling clothes there,
Yeah, people that already paid to come in.
we're gonna make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, we'll take it from here. That was the first time I could have become a multimillionaire. The second time was with another artist. This guy had I did the same thing. I didn't learn my lesson. I trusted the same person twice, right? This guy, I think his name was Alfredo Olivas. I don't know what his name is, but he's huge. This guy has millions and millions of followers. Sure thing, man. I started making some of his merchandise, and I thought we were going to put something in writing a lot sooner because that's what I was promised. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, prove yourself, and we'll put something in writing. So I proved myself, and then sure thing, same scenario.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yes.
What is it? Screw me once, shame on me. Screw me twice, shame on you. No. Screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. Yeah. Shame on me.
Right. So then, did that affect things then when you initially partnered up with Sal, right? Because he was you partnered up where you're like, hey, we got to get.
Yeah. So with me and Sal, it was a different dynamic because we didn't put an operating agreement together for any of our companies until 2018. So 4 years later, it was like handshake.
Right before we met.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and at this point in 2018 is when we started launching all these different, ventures, because by then we were, we had made a good amount of money through real estate. And we're like, okay, so what do we do with this money, right? Like, we didn't really we were great wholesalers at that time. We weren't really good, real estate investors or real estate entrepreneurs were like, well, we should probably take $200,000 to $400,000 and park it in this multifamily deal here of 80 units. We weren't thinking there's a mobile home park there that can give us a return of X amount. We weren't thinking that. We were just we were hustlers, we weren't really businessmen at that point.
Yeah.
We didn't really start becoming businessmen until 2018.
So, yeah, and I this is the reason why I wanted to talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. Is when you started with flipping cars off of Craigslist, right? Yeah. This is a single business, and, for a lot of people that are listening, they can't get past the idea of just wholesaling houses, right? Even wholesaling and flipping are two different businesses, and that could be a little challenging when you're a solopreneur or a smaller operator. So, from flipping cars, what was your next venture?
Real estate.
So real estate.
Yep.
Right, and at that time, you didn't feel like you were really a business person. You were just hustling.
A hustler. I was still a hustler.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I unlike a lot of the gurus out there, right? No disrespect to any of them, but I didn't start educating until 4 or 5 years in. Once I never even thought about educating. I never even thought about becoming a public figure or an influencer like that. Nobody, well, at least me, maybe the kids nowadays, they get into the game for that reason, right? Because they just want the clout and the fame and whatever, right? Yeah. They have their own little personal internal insecurities that they have to, alleviate at some point. But for me, it was man, I'm just trying to make money for my family.
Right.
I didn't get into this game. I got into this game to gain some freedom, some financial freedom, to retire my mother, retire my wife, to provide for my children. That's what I got into this game for, not to chase whatever everybody's chasing these days.
So then at which point were you still running real estate when you finally transitioned from hustler to business owner, or was it until you started another venture?
So at this point, we did start another venture, which was the diabetic test strips. And it's not just diabetic test strips, it's diabetic supplies. It started with test strips, and then it became much bigger. Well,
because I just kind of think of the We Buy Houses, right? Because
you
drive
see
by
all
these
those
apartments.
Signs I get it. No, all kinds of different reservoirs, meters, all kinds of different things for diabetics, right? Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is our biggest year in that business was in 2017. We made over $6.3 million gross revenue with a 27% profit margin, which wasn't bad, right? Yeah. But still, that's when we started to really, okay, we got this business, we got the medical, medical business. All right, let's launch this, data business, this software business, and, investor automation and blah, blah, blah. All these other business ventures came, which, by the way, if anybody out there is listening, we are going to exit some of these ventures internally and externally. What I mean by externally is we are going to sell some of these business ventures that are making anywhere from $300,000 to a few $1 million. We're going to exit some of these businesses because right now what we're focusing on are 4 things, right? Our core 4 is literally real estate, flipping, wholesaling, holding, multifamily, all that, right? Software, right? Which is all the companies that we have, prospectx.com, listiva.com, all these other softwares that we have. And then it's education, which is all in, all in nation, education. And we're changing the dynamic of that whole situation. We're probably not even going to be mentoring anymore soon. So that's been a great journey. And then our 4th now is e-commerce. It took us 2 years to launch this business. Yeah. It took us like physically and strategically 2 years to get into the e-com business.
Yeah.
And you know why.
Oh, I know exactly.
You saw it. You saw what happened.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that made a lot of promises.
There's a lot of, brother, I have mentees that are out 80,000, 40,000, 50. I got mentees that I can name drop, which I won't right now, that gave money to these hustlers that went from wholesaling to what's the next big hustle? Oh, e-commerce.
Yeah.
Oh, Forex. Oh, what flipping planes, whatever the hell hustle. That's they never became businessmen. They never became businessmen.
Yeah.
And that's the one advice that I would give anybody out there that wants to eventually go from hustler to businessman to a businessman. You're gonna have to evolve, and you're gonna have to grow, and you're gonna have to change your approach to the way that you launch these new business ventures, and most importantly, the value that you're bringing to the marketplace, and the commitment and the core values that you're bringing to the marketplace, because a lot of people got burned.
So you're obviously very passionate about this. So let's talk about, the transition from hustler to business person, right? Like,
how about we go from sales to hustler to businessman?
Yeah, so
Because I was a salesperson before I was a hustler, and then I was a hustler before I was a businessman.
So what's the difference between a salesperson and a hustler?
Well, when you're a salesperson, you're kind of plugging in. You're plugging in wherever there's a sale to be made.
Yeah.
Right. It could be at a retail place. It could be at a car dealership. It could be in an operation like this, right? A real estate investment, right? Investing operation. Well, eventually you're like, okay, well, I want to go I want to be able to hustle and make more money. So then you take that God-given talent, gifts, and skill sets to now you're applying, you're integrating that into a venture or a business that could give you a higher return, like wholesaling and e-commerce and, like all these other hustles that are out there, right? And then eventually you're like, wait a minute, I got to run my ventures or my enterprise, depending on how many businesses you have, like a real entrepreneur, like a real businessman, right? With KPIs and metrics and measurables and personnel and systems and processes. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Right? Like everything, like you just start to evolve. You start to grow, and everything starts to change for you.
Yeah. So what's the first thing, right? Like the first step in
hiring.
Taking that first step. Okay, so hiring.
Most hustlers don't have a staff. They don't know where to even begin. They don't know who to hire, when to hire.
They're glued to their phone.
Most hustlers are owner operators.
They're at dinner and someone calls and they have to take the phone right now, walk away from the dinner table with the wife and family, and got to sell this whatever is going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother, I haven't talked to a seller since maybe 2017, 2018. 2018 for sure.
Yeah.
I don't talk to sellers. I don't coordinate transactions. I don't even know what addresses we're cashing in on. We had a leadership meeting this morning at 10 o'clock, and everybody was like, "Hey man, we're about to make 6 figures on Mesquite, 150,000." I'm like, "Who? What? Where?" Mesquite, Nevada. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
See, I was just thinking street name.
Mesquite, Nevada. I don't even know the street name. I can't tell you how many bedrooms that house has. But that's the thing. That's when you become a business owner.
So what was key in your hiring process, right? Because when I first said, I'm going to hire, I screwed up the first 10 hires, right? My first 10 hires, I was a disaster, right? I kind of got really lucky with my first one, but I couldn't even keep her because I was a terrible leader. So what is the first step then for someone that wants to grow and scale, like the tip for hiring?
Let's talk about real estate. I think your first hire should be an acquisition manager because again, we're trying to remove ourselves as the remember the salesperson to hustler to business owner, right? I think the first hire, when 10, 15, 20 leads are coming in on a daily basis consistently, you have to hire an acquisition manager that's going to take on that workload. What happens when you hire an acquisition manager that's going to take on the workload that was taking 80 to 90% of your time as a business owner? What happens?
You freed up 80, 90% of your time.
And 100% of him is better than 20% of you at one point, right? At some point. So that's the first hire that someone needs to make is, hey, I got to hire somebody that's going to replace the biggest workload that I currently have. Boom, acquisition manager, right? You
So
start
before we go
building
to the
from
next
there.
one, let me ask you this, because I see this mistake made all the time, right? So you're the business owner. You're spending money on marketing, overhead, everything else, right? And you're paying your salesperson 5, 10, 15, 20%. And you look at the end of the month, your sales guy made more money than you, which is not unusual.
I can fix that for you.
What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, we used to operate the same way that every single other real estate operation operated with like, all right, we're giving you 10% of your deal. Like, brother, we've been through every scenario with our internal acquisition specialist, right? All right, we're giving you 10%. All right, hold on. Now we have a tier system and you have to earn your 10%. All right, now you're making 6, 7, and 8%. You see, we've been through every scenario. And what we know to work best now is a base salary, right? I'll give you an example. We don't have internal acquisition managers anymore. We have 10 virtual acquisition managers, right? And they're not virtually here in this country. They're through COGIGs, Egypt and Mexico, right? They get paid on a tier system too. They get paid an hourly, which is about $7 an hour for now I'm paying $7 an hour for acquisitions, by the way, which is phenomenal. And they get paid 100, 200, 300, 400, or $500 as a commission on a tier system. Okay. Now let's talk about my sales director. What we did recently that's really going to help our entire organization for this year. It's going to improve everything. It's going to improve our overall gross revenue, and it's also going to improve the morale of the team, and it's going to improve the net profitability of our organization or our real estate venture. Right? Ready? We're paying for. I'll give you an example. Our asset director. This is the way that they used to get paid. He used to make $3,500 base. He used to make 10% of his own deals, and then he used to make 3% of the overall override of the deals. Okay? Now, this person makes more salary, $50,000 as a sales director. So that's there. That's $4,200. I don't know what it is a month. Boom, base salary. 3% of the overall pie, no matter where, if it's wholesale, if it's fix and flip, he gets 3% of the overall pie. Right? I'm sorry, it used to be 1%. Now it's 3%. Then he gets a bonus based on a quarterly bonus based on a tier system, 1, 2, or 3% override bonus if we hit certain goals. Like, I'll give you an example. Our bare minimum that our real estate operation has to hit is $3 million. $3 million. That's like the bare minimum, right? So our tier system goes 3, 4, 5, all the way up to $10 million, right? Most of I would say on a privately owned, by the way, privately owned, your highest producing privately owned real estate investing companies are going to make anywhere from $5 to $10 million a year. Whether we want to accept this or not, that's the market cap. Does that make sense?
Can you elaborate?
Okay. If you have, because I feel like we are one of the top real estate operations when it comes to personnel systems, processes, the way that we're paying our people now, like everything, marketing, everything, right? I believe that this year we'll make anywhere between $7 and $10 million, and that's the cap. That's the market cap for us.
All right, so you're saying like the most any one business can make.
Yes.
Right. Like
it's privately, by the way. We're not talking like hedge funds.
I get that. But it's just like realistic as an operations. Like once you get past 10 million, either you're going to run into diminishing returns
it's really. I want you to whoever, you should probably send this email or a text message. What was your gross revenue last year? I promise you this, nobody will probably be over $10 million gross revenue.
Yeah.
If it's a private company, like ours and yours and Jared's, Vidal's, and everybody else, right?
We can forget Jared. I didn't get invited to his wedding, so he's done.
I don't think I'm invited.
Yeah, he's out.
I don't even know
I'll send him a text message.
When
Let
is
him
he
know that
getting
we're.
married?
I
Okay,
don't know.
cool.
I'll just send him a
All
text message. Let him know that we are
So-
no longer friends with Jared Vidal's. All right.
Yeah. So okay.
So salesperson, right? So we talk about sales.
Yeah.
All right. So that's acquisitions. What's the next key hire?
I think the next key hire is a disposition manager.
Okay.
I really do believe that.
Above an administrative person, you think a disposition person?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You know, the first thing that you gotta take care of in your organization is the money. The money allows you to grow, right? The money allows you to hire an admin/accountant. The money allows you to hire a transaction coordinator. The money allows you to, at first you can use your dispo guy as the transaction coordinator. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
right? Because, you know, as business owners, whether we admit this or not, like we are looking for that net profitability. If you start to give away the farm, and we were giving away the farm and we didn't even know, like, you begin to see it, like it's not an even playing field. Like this guy made $250,000 and then this guy made 50. You see, that's not
And that's not uncommon.
It's
very common.
but it's not effective.
Yeah.
And
it's not right, but
it's not right.
But it's common.
You want your team, because your team, right? Your team congruently works together anyway. Think about it, right?
Right.
My asset director can't fix and flip a property unless my acquisition team does what?
Acquires the property.
Acquires the property.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Right? We can't wholesale a property. My dispo guy, because there's a difference between the asset director and the dispo. The dispo guy he's not fixing flipping properties. My asset director is overseeing the project managers of the properties that we're flipping in multiple states, and he's overseeing our buy and holds, right? We have a buy and hold company called Residential Tree. It's a management company that, like, it's kind of cool. Like, we create our own management company, you see, to oversee our rentals, right?
Right.
So it's kind of cool. But anyway, so our dispo guy, the way that used to work out is he only used to get paid on the properties that he dispositioned, right? My asset director didn't get paid on those properties. There was times where, you know, they would like grab a property from a JV deal, and then now my acquisition, my sales director didn't get paid, and my asset director didn't get paid. See, now I'm making it to the point where everybody gets 3% off or of the overall gross revenue pie.
You're reducing the us versus them component.
I don't care if it's a fix and flip, a wholesale deal, a JV deal. You see what I'm saying? Like, I am leveling the play field for everybody to be able to make more, but for the company to be able to make more and net more too.
Yeah. So acquisitions, dispositions.
Yeah. So acquisition, disposition. So sales director oversees 10 virtual assistants that are acquisition managers now, right? We don't have internal acquisition managers anymore, man. I don't know if anybody, whoever's watching or listening out there, but how many times have we as business owners ran into, we bring an acquisition guy in, he learns the game, and what does he do?
Competes against you.
He leaves.
Yeah, he leaves and competes against you.
He leaves, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that is not okay for the long haul here. The long term, it's not okay, because now you've got constant turnover every 6 to 12 months, and you're pouring all your time and all your energy and all your resources, and then you just equip them to go and, you know, and started. And God bless them. I'm very happy for all the people that came through all in and their lives were impacted. God bless them. But guess what, man? Like, I'm a business owner, and I have a family, and I have a big picture. You know what I mean? You'll be happy to hear this. For the first time in our business existence, we crushed 8 figures.
Nice.
Like, do you understand what that means?
Yeah.
Not in just real estate. I'm talking about as an enterprise, as a conglomerate, right? And he knows this, because I shared this, I think we shared this live when the news came in. We're like, hey, you know, the numbers came in. They're like, you guys made X amount of money, and we were, you know, well over the $10 million mark, right? Yeah. Very exciting times for me, because I told Sal that this year I want to make $30 to $50 million in gross revenue as an enterprise, as an all-in, you know, I think I think it's called All In Enterprises or something like, because we have our S Corp, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's called. All In Solutions. Yeah. That's our S Corp. And then it's like, you got allinnation.com, Phase One Investments, right? Prospects X, all these other ventures that we have under the umbrella. All in ecom, right? I want to crush. I want to be between $30 to $50 million in gross revenue this year. So that's going to be exciting.
But taking a step back, right? So we got acquisition dispositions.
This is a real estate podcast.
Well,
no, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
No, it's not that though. I just want to. I want to lead a roadmap here, right, for the people that are listening, right? Like when you go from your first business to your second and third business, because we're not going to go through all 30 businesses. You can't do that,
by the way, you cannot do that unless you become a real business owner.
Well, right. So we're gonna talk about
how many owner operators do you know that it's still sexy and cool to drive to the flip and be like, "Hey guys, I'm here at a flip." Brother, the only reason why I would ever even go to a flip is because I'm forced to shoot YouTube content.
Oh, it's great content.
You can ask my media guy here.
Yeah.
I do not go to a flip unless it's like, hey man, can we go shoot it? By the way, my media guy's here. We have several flips. That's another thing we can do for YouTube. We have several flips right now that we can go back into. But you can't do any of those things until you become a real business owner.
Right.
Until you begin to learn how to properly staff and have systems and processes and home in on your marketing and more importantly measure. What is measure? What we measure, right? What we measure grows, right? Metrics, KPIs, right? Marketing KPIs, ROI there. Productivity and performance KPIs on your staff, right? You got to measure and measure and measure. If not, man, you're just running blind. You're flying blind.
Oh, absolutely. So again, for the guy that's wholesaling today, right? Because they're listening, they're wholesaling, but we don't wholesale to wholesale. We wholesale as a vehicle to create success, to create wealth, for financial freedom, time freedom. So what are the things that they need to do?
What is wholesaling?
What is wholesaling?
What is wholesaling?
Wholesaling is buying something cheap and selling it for more. Arbitrage.
Okay. It's a little confusing when people like fix and flippers, because a lot of our mentorship, like a lot of our program, right? It's the All-In Executive Elite program. It's a mentorship and a mastermind combined, right? And you saw that. We brought in people like you to talk about certain things that you're an expert in. But when people come to us, they're fixing and flipping, or they're doing whatever. They're rental guys, whatever. And they're like, hey man, teach me how to wholesale. I'm like, teach you how to wholesale? Wholesaling is just an exit strategy. Wholesaling is just it's like you saying, come on, teach me how to fix and flip.
Yeah.
Teach me how to buy and hold. Teach me how to wholesale. That's why I asked you, what is wholesaling?
Right.
Wholesaling is not grabbing properties at a discount. That's just acquisitions. That's just
sourcing.
You know what I mean? Like wholesaling is not what people think it is. Wholesaling is an exit strategy. What I teach people and what you teach people is we teach people how to land these off-market, deeply discounted properties. Now, if you want to wholesale that, you can wholesale that.
Right.
If you want to fix and flip that, you can fix and flip that. If you want to keep it, hold it, and run the burst strategy, right?
Right.
Then do that. But wholesaling is not what people think it is. I just want people out there to understand that wholesaling isn't what you think it is. It's an exit strategy.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, right? Because we jumble it together with sourcing deals. Sourcing deals is really the most valuable skill. All those other ones is just however you like to run a business, optimal for how you run it.
This is my area of expertise is this, right? Because everybody has their area. Let me ask you this, Steve. What is your area of expertise?
Well, I mean, I think it's running a business and sales.
Beautiful. I agree with you.
Yeah.
If you ask me, what is your area? Okay, let me ask you, what do you think my area of expertise is? And then I'll give you some feedback. What do you think my area of expertise is?
I think there's a large part of it is you will actually listen to somebody and care about them and then see where they're missing. See what is short in their business and plug in that hole. Beautiful.
My area of expertise is, first and foremost, we've spent millions of dollars figuring out this marketing thing. So one of my areas of expertise is marketing. Marketing, how to, what marketing channels to use in specific cities, right? Because we have tracked long enough, and not only for ourselves, but, right, imagine this, right? Like, you got a mentee in Florida. What works in Florida might not work in California. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I got mentees in, what is that weird? Sorry, and it's not weird. I got mentees in Missouri and Nebraska. What works in Nebraska, bandit signs still work in Nebraska. Good luck trying to put bandit signs out in LA County. You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So my area of expertise is marketing, acquisitions, right? Building an infrastructure, growing that business, scaling that business, delegating that business, and exiting that business. That is my area of expertise.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So
but there's
marketing,
there's
acquisitions.
a lot in there.
Go ahead. Let's break it down.
I want to say, it'd be hard to say I'm excellent at all these things, right? There's got to be like 2, 3 where like I am the absolute best, right?
Okay. All right. I'll say this. I am one of the best people out there to help somebody build, grow, and scale a real estate operation.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have the track record for that.
That's one of my areas of expertise, right? But yeah, I don't want people to think of people like you and me as wholesalers.
Right.
Because wholesaling is an exit strategy.
Yeah.
We're far more than just wholesalers.
So again, like to go from running a real estate business to having a second business, like what are the things that are missing generally where you can go from even like from one business to 2 or 3 businesses? What are the things, key fundamentals that need to be in place?
I believe that the most important factors that need to be in place is on the personnel side is a leadership team. I could not expand into other ventures if I did not have the leaders that I have in my real estate operation. The Jaden Putneys, the John Acuñas, the John Huttons, the Adrian Salgados. I cannot expand into other business ventures if I have not built and scaled a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there are so many challenges that a salesperson turned into a hustler, turned into a businessman has to go through to build that machine. One is, your own personal belief system, right? It's like, do I trust this person with my business? Do I trust this person with the livelihood of my family? Do I let go of the rope now? Do I do it later? Like, you see what I'm saying? There are so many challenges that hustlers that want to become business owners have to go through. Do I pay this person? There's a lot of people out there that don't want to pay. They don't want to pay to play. If you listen,
Not only do they not want to pay, they want to be cheap.
I was just about to get there. The difference between you paying $30,000 a year to paying $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, there is a significant quality of people differential, right, that comes with that compensation plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes the difference between $3,500 and $4,200, you're getting a tire kicker, and I'm sorry, anybody out there that is I'm not calling you a tire kicker, so don't, before the hate comments start, right, because God knows how that goes. A tire kicker from a potential executive sometimes.
Right.
Someone that you can actually grow into an executive position. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, but it sounds like the key here then really is having the right people.
First and foremost is having the right people, right? And the other thing, man, is having the right systems in place. You got to have the right systems in place, and systems can mean anything. Systems can mean a CRM system that tracks your deals and your leads, and that's a systematic approach from the technology aspect. But what about the fact from like, hey, I get a deal, I'm an acquisition manager, right? Oh, here's a system: marketing, phone calls, acquisitions, disposition. You see what I'm saying? Like a system can be people too.
Yeah.
That's a whole. That is the New England Patriots. Do they have a system?
They have a pretty darn good system.
They have a pretty damn good system, right? And that's what I'm saying. Is their systems technology based or personnel based?
No, it's definitely personnel.
Exactly.
Definitely
So
skills.
don't get like people out there get that confused. Like, is he talking about like my CRM or the way that we? No, I'm talking about the overall system approach of people and everything else that goes into systems and processes. So I think those are the 2 biggest factors, man, is people and systems.
So this is the first time we got any questions from Discord. So if you had to start over with no money or referral connections, What would you do to get your first deal?
I would cold call.
Cold call. Who would you cold call?
I would cold call. I would do a mixture of the following, right? If I was in that situation, by the way, I haven't ate. If I'm a little shaky, it's because my blood sugar is probably, I'm going to go have a really great meal after this. Anyway, so I usually fast till about 3 to 5.
That's awesome.
TMI. Back to him. Discord guy, Reyes, what's his name?
Yeah.
Ray Lito?
Real easy.
Reyes. What I would do is I would download a list from anywhere. It could be whatever Steve puts on here, right? Whoever's paying him a whole bunch of money to be on here. I'm just joking, Steve.
No, that's
anyway.
fine. No, my soul's for sale. I already put it out there.
For sale. Anyway, I would use whatever to pull a list, right? I would pull a list. And what I would do is I would combine a mixture. If I'm going to do 10,000 records, I would probably do 5,000 records of absentee owner. I would probably do 30% equity or better, 30% or equity or more, right? Because nowadays, you know how the way the market is, right? You don't have to be 50, 70% discount. No.
I mean, you could be 10%, right?
You
By the time you pull that list, it's already
30%. Really, but I'm just playing it super conservative here and saying 30, right?
Yeah.
20% if you're feeling froggy, okay? The other 50% will come from owner occupants with the same criteria. The reason why that's important is because with the absentee owner, you're not going to get a lot of conversations, but you're going to get a home run if you land a deal there, because these homeowners, they don't have that personal emotional attachment to that home. This is either a secondary home, a vacation home, an Airbnb home, or a home that they just got, like they were inherited or whatever, right? But there's not as much personal connection and emotional attachment to that piece of property. Now, the owner-occupant side, this is why I want you to mix it. Because you're going to get a lot of conversations, unlike this side, you're going to get a lot of conversations, but you're going to get a lot of people that tell you to go screw yourself. You need the best of both worlds, because you need to be having conversations and you need to be making offers, and that's how you're going to be able to convert deals. That's the kind of list that I would pull. Now, by the way, I completely forgot this step. Once you pull that list, put that into $1. I don't know, whatever he is affiliated with, put that into $1, right? Dial for a bare minimum of 4 to 6 hours every single day. Do not get off the phone till you get 2 to 4 leads for that day, okay? Now, statistically speaking, this is the way it's this. Why am I looking at that camera? Statistically speaking, right, I'm looking at the wrong camera. Where is it at? Where are we at, by the way?
I think the one
you
you're
got
looking
so
at
many cameras in here. It's crazy. You got
I think
1,
either
2,
one's
3.
fine.
Okay. Statistically speaking, okay, cold calling wise, for every 50 cold call leads, you're gonna convert a deal. Okay, did you hear that? So if I told you that you get 2 leads a day and you dial 7 days a week, if we do the math, it's gonna take 50 leads, bare minimum, to actually have a shot at converting a deal, right? So if you do the math, 50 divided by 2, that's 25. 25 days, more than likely, that's what it's gonna take you to realistically convert those leads into a deal. Now, the other side of cold calling, do not get discouraged if you're talking to a bunch of cold leads. This is cold calling. This isn't pay-per-click or direct mail. These are cold leads, right? So sometimes it might take you an average time frame of 50 to 60 days of them sitting in that pipeline and you following up 5 to 10 times to convert that lead into a deal. So it's multifaceted. Like, I want you to look at 50 leads, 60 days. Okay, I hope that helps you out.
So,
Reyes.
let me ask you this question. When you were cold calling,
I cold call off Mojo back in 2016.
what was the absolute worst thing that anyone ever told you on the phone?
Oh my God. I had an old man tell me to go F myself.
Yeah.
And that if I call him one more time, he said, my 83-year-old behind is going to get in my car, find you, and beat the living ass out of you. So that was cool.
But
It was funny.
you didn't die.
I didn't die. And that's another thing that I want to tell Mr. Reyes.
Yeah.
Is, hey, brother, like, I didn't know how to cold call back in 2016, and I didn't even know how to use Mojo. It was hard, man. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I'll tell you what, After the 50th conversation, I was far better than the first conversation, and I had more confidence, and I was able to build more rapport, and I had more knowledge. And after the 100th conversation, I was better than the 50th time. And after the 500th conversation, I was what you would probably consider an expert at this point. I was using the assumptive approach. Hey, Steve, how's it going? Instead of like, is this Steve Trang, right? Like I was already like rocking and rolling, and I was getting better leads and converting more deals.
So his follow-up question to that is, what are you struggling with most in your business right now?
Myself? Mm-hmm. What am I struggling with in my business?
Yeah.
Just probably what everybody else is struggling. There's more money than deals out there right now. That's what I'm struggling with. So what I just did, I just prepaid Google $150,000 to launch a pretty broad national pay-per-click campaign. Again, that's probably, I don't care who you are. Like there aren't enough deals out there right now. Like, yeah, look at the inventory. I mean, you look at the Cromford report every single month. You know what's going on with the inventory, right?
It's brutal.
So if anybody has a deal out there, please bring it.
So Cap 722, are you hiring in Arizona or do you hire out of state as well?
Arizona. Oh, wait, we're not hiring. Oh, hold on. Unless you're a virtual assistant, no, I'm not hiring.
And then Candace on YouTube asked you about that deal, $936,700.
No, I didn't make $936,000. I think I made $783,000 net profitability after we paid the hard money lender.
All right. So what was that deal?
We cleared $783,000. I think. We showed a picture of it yesterday, but you can go to my Instagram, and that was a probate cold call deal that we nurtured for over 6 months.
Well, so
that took us 15 attempts to convert that person that inherited that property. We got the deal for this was in Berkeley, California, which has a very prestigious college there, right? Did you go there? You look like you went there. No disrespect.
No, I got rejected, actually. They're on my list of...
The reason why you look like you went there is because, one, you're a really very smart, intelligent Asian. You're great at math. Okay?
Yeah.
So
I actually
you look like you went to Berkeley.
I actually got a perfect score on my GRE, and they said
they didn't let you into Berkeley?
They did not let me in. Crazy. I had a perfect score on the math anyway.
So anyway, I picked it up for $649, put about $250 into it, sold it for 1.7 something, and we cleared close to $800,000. It was a beautiful, beautiful deal, and now we're trying to do more deals like that. We're that deal forced us to grow and start tapping into the higher end market because now we know how to do those deals.
Probate, cold call.
Cool.
Yeah. So Tyler Hurst, how are you tracking how many follow-ups per contract?
Our CRM system, prospectx.com, literally tracks every single metric you can think of.
And what's your single favorite marketing source at the moment?
You know, it's a toss-up between pay-per-click and cold calling, man. Like, it's a toss-up. The reason why I love pay-per-click, by the way, are you affiliated with any pay-per-click people? No?
Yeah, that's one of the very few affiliates we have. That's,
Who is it?
Bateman Collective.
Who?
Bateman Collective.
Never heard of it. God bless them. They're probably doing a great job if you're affiliated with them. But what I love about pay-per-click...
yours. I'm not opposed to it.
No. Well, I use Magnus, right? Yeah. Magnus, which I am part owner of Magnus Digital. But I'm not the operator. A guy that we strategically partner up with, he was a Google consultant for 10 plus years. And I think one of your guys actually knows him. Anyway, so...
Well, I've met him, right? You're talking about
Dave. No, Dave. Yeah, Dave.
Oh, so,
Dave.
Okay, then I'm not... Yeah, I met him at your office.
Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave's owner of Magnus, and he's been doing our pay-per-click service, our campaign since 2016. What I love about pay-per-click is that if you're a good closer, there's 2 things that I love about pay-per-click. 3 things that I love about pay-per-click. 1, they're the hottest leads. 2, you convert them so much quicker. It only takes 8 to 10 leads to convert into a deal. 3, the time frame goes from, the cold calling time frame being like a 60-day lead to contract rate to 19 to 21 days lead to contract rate. So those 3 things alone, right, are going to change everything in your business. Now, in order for you to have a successful real estate pay-per-click campaign, the 3 things have to be in order. 1, you got to have a pretty damn good optimized page, okay? so it can convert. One of your
course.
guys knows this.
Yeah.
2, you got to have a pretty damn good campaign manager. And 3, what's the third thing that you got to have?
Speed the lead.
Sales skills.
Oh, sales skills. Yeah.
Sales skills.
Yeah.
You got to have a great closer on the other side of that phone.
Yeah.
Because when that phone rings, if you don't convert that deal,
Someone else is.
someone else will. Because guess what? When it comes to the pay-per-click, I would say campaign and that whole dynamic, it's like, okay, I'm going to call here. If I like them and I want to do business with that person, then I'm going to stop there. But if I don't like what I just heard or who I just spoke to, I'm going to click on the next ad. And that's what happens.
Well, not just that. I mean, by the time they got to your page, they might have clicked on 2 or 3 other ones. So it's a free-for-all.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I do love that about pay-per-click is the reason why these leads are so much hotter is because unlike cold calling and direct mail and all these other things that are out there, they're looking for you.
Yeah.
They know what they want. They know how they want it. They know when they want it. And they're looking for that service
Oh, they're
specifically.
telling you, I'm a motivated homeowner. What can you do for me?
Boom.
Yeah. So on Instagram, Dr. House Flipper, as a rehabber, do I need to learn how to wholesale to acquire more deals or network with more wholesalers?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You should learn the art of acquiring deeply discounted off-market properties.
Yeah.
What do you think that does to your net profitability? You just went from making 30 to 40K on a house to doing what I do, making multiple 6 figures on a house.
Well, so we had Chris Jefferson on the show some time ago, right? And he
CJ.
basically said, like, that is the single most important of all the skills, right? You mentioned marketing earlier. That's your superpower.
One of them, yeah,
Right?
one of them. Yeah, I'm also a great husband and a great father. I'm just joking.
But the ability to source deals
Superpower.
is the one skill that will always be great no matter what time, what season, what going on in the economy. It's a timeless skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that because no matter what the market is doing, it's not dictating your ability to acquire deals.
Yeah.
Whether you're up or whether the market's up and oversaturated and overinflated, right? Or the market's down to what it was back in '09.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to grab deals. The market doesn't dictate your ability to grab deals. You're going to put your sales skills to work, and you're going to grab deals where you need to grab deals.
You could dictate your income.
Absolutely.
All right. So on Instagram, DD Forrest, what's the biggest mistake you've made?
One of the biggest mistakes that I've made, as a business owner, comes on the personnel side. Hiring and not taking into account my core values. Your core values have to dictate how you hire, how you fire, and also, for anybody out there listening, hire slow, fire fast. Time and time again, Sal and I have waited, my business partner, for people to leave on their own terms. Time and time again. Instead of us pulling the plug, we wait around for them to exit however they want to exit.
I'm so surprised by that.
Yeah, well, we learned our lessons
Yeah.
last year, and it's going to be life-changing forever.
Yeah. It doesn't take very long for Max to just walk in and say, "All right, hey, look, we're going to Starbucks. We're going to have a conversation, right?"
And that's
Yeah. So it's
Sal and I you do. I'll be honest with you. When you have so many open doors the way we do, you do lose some focus and you lose grip.
yeah.
Right? That's what traction is all about, right? Having grip on your business, right? Having a grip on your business. One of my favorite business books out there, Traction, Rocket Fuel, and Scaling Up, and Measure What Matters. Yeah, I love that book. I'm halfway there, and it's so good so far. Anyway, so we used to have so much go on. Like, okay, we're building, like now we're building an e-commerce company that's going to be an 8-figure company this year, by the way, right? The forecast, that's what it's dictating. So we're building an e-com business, so sometimes other things have to suffer. And, when you lose grip of certain businesses, you don't have your eye on the ball every day the way that you should.
Yeah.
And things are going to slip through the crack, whether it's people or systematic things, right? Things are going to slip through the crack, and it's going to cost you heavily.
Yeah. So let's see. What was the next question here? So they're asking, where would you hire acquisitions managers? And you kind of touched on it earlier. So where are your acquisition managers?
Yeah, so for the rest of my existence in the real estate space, I will always have a physical in-house sales director that oversees 10 to 20 to 30, at one point maybe even 50, because again, these people are costing me $7 an hour plus a few $100s in bonuses. I'm no longer paying these huge commissions and these huge salaries as acquisition managers, right? That's what I love about this model. It could be so scalable compared to the in-house model. So I will always have a sales director, but I will always hire virtual acquisition managers from CallGeeks, if you don't mind, callgeeks.com, right? That's where I have 10 of them.
I wanted you to answer this question.
Okay, but if you feel like you're not equipped to hire virtual acquisition managers, then yeah, I would hire door-to-door salespeople, whether they're selling solar, or they're selling vacuum cleaners, or they're selling what is that called? When you exterminate, what is that? Pest control or whatever,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I would also hire people from the car industry, right? But just keep in mind that at some point, these people are going to make enough money to feel that they're in a position to move on.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
So you hire an acquisition manager. How would you go about training them on sales?
Well, first and foremost, I would probably either send the people that I trust that are going to be with me for over a year, send them to like your sales shops that you do, put them through whatever sales courses that you do. I would probably put together a legitimate onboarding process for that specific position.
Yeah.
Every organization is different, but one thing that I would include in that onboarding process is sales training.
Yeah. And then Kai's asking, what do you do to get over mental hurdles?
I work on myself, man. Kai, that's a great question, because one of the biggest things that is not talked about in the entrepreneur space is, would you call it a mental illnesses, or what would you call it? Like anxiety, depression, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean,
mental.
It's,
what is the NFL calling it now? Like mental.
I think they call it CTE, but
No. But remember, they're like because people do develop these like anxiety and depression once they leave. Artists develop that after they're done with their careers. Actors develop it. Athletes develop it, right? So mental issues, right? You have to take care of yourself, man. You got to have the discipline, and you got to have the awareness that as much as you want to be a machine, you're not. The working out, the good eating, the water intake, the grounding, the meditation, the breath work, the personal development coaches, right? The massages, the sensory deprivation floats, all of that. Like, you gotta take into account that you either adapt and evolve and make that part of you and take care of yourself, self-care, or eventually you're gonna go through what I've went through. I've been through 3 crashes, like complete crashes, where I am out of commission for 2 months. 2017, 2019, 2021. I was not taking care of myself. I got pictures of where I was 270 pounds because I would stress eat, right? Like every single business owner out there, every entrepreneur out there, like, how do you numb yourself? Do you consume drugs, alcohol, women, like entertainment, food? How do you numb yourself? Because guess what? Stress is real, and we figure out ways to numb our stress. And I just gave you some of the options. Like, choose your option of numb.
Yeah.
For me, it was food. It was alcohol. I think it was food and alcohol for me.
For me, it's definitely ice cream.
Ice cream?
Definitely ice cream.
Oh, you're one of those, huh?
Yeah, so when I get stressed, it's Dairy Queen.
Let me show you something. For anybody out there, I'm going to show you specifically. Watch this.
Ooh. That was you?
Ooh. How do you numb yourself?
Yeah, that was
I don't know
food
if
and
anybody
alcohol.
can zoom in on that.
Yeah.
That's alcohol and food, guys. That's 270 pounds of raw inflammation.
Yeah. So, Robert Campbell is asking, how did you get into purchasing businesses?
You know what's crazy, man? So my first purchase, we paid $350,000 for a medical company. And this was back in, I think it was 2018. What I want you to know, Robert, is once you develop a blueprint a blueprint on how you can get in and build and scale and delegate and systemize a business, you can do that with any venture. Whether it's medical, whether it's solar, whether it's import-export, whether it's software, whether it's education, whether it's real estate. Well, my first one obviously was real estate. You know that.
But how did you find the first one that you bought?
Medical. So I was buying about $50,000 a week as far as the diabetic products from this gentleman. And one day we said, hey, would you ever be opposed to selling? I mean, I was already buying, right? So I'm like, how do I cut out the middle guy, right? And at first he wanted over $600,000. And then my sales skills came into play, and I brought him down to $350K from $600,000.
Yeah.
So it was something that I was already doing. If anybody out there is interested in purchasing a business, by the way, I am going to sell a few businesses, especially any other businesses that are making between $300,000 and $1 million. I am going to sell those businesses because guess what, right? I'm only focused now on building 7, 8, and 9-figure businesses. I have to close down some doors that are just not worth my mental real estate.
Absolutely. So RJ Bates is trolling us over here. So
he's not a better closer than me, by the way. I just want everybody to know that.
So he did say as an aspiring closer, because we know he's not that great at closing.
Me and you can just. I mean, we run laps around this guy. He's probably good. He's probably a good hockey player. But as far as closing, if me, you, and him were in the room, he definitely would be third best.
If he make it even the top 3. So
exactly.
He wants to know, should he wear 17 or 18 healing bracelets to feel perfectly balanced?
He probably needs, let me see, amethyst, tiger eye. No, you don't need, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bracelets.
7. And RJ, just so you know, I am ice skating these days because he said that he wouldn't fight unless it was on the rink. So I'm
in the ice skating ring?
Yeah. So I'm learning how to ice skate.
I think most people will lose that battle to him.
Yeah, I think so too. But
yeah,
I will step up to that challenge. All right. So Kai wants to know again, following up, how do you continue to grow a business once you've reached your goal for that business? Right? You have a vision.
Yeah.
You hit it.
So what we're doing this year is we're bringing in, we're hiring 2 CEOs, right? And we're paying them anywhere from $80,000 to $150,000. What I discussed earlier was, there's multiple ways that you can exit a business. One way is exiting external, which you can sell the business for 3x or 6x of what it does on an annual basis, or you can exit internally by hiring a CEO. I believe that a CEO is going to do a much better job than me at that one specific business than I would be doing myself. This is an educated, more than likely went to ASU and got some type of business degree, and this is their dream. Their dream is to be a CEO, right? So I think that they're going to do a much better job, and we're working on exiting 2 companies with CEOs this year by the end of the second quarter.
And then Max on our team wants to know, is your virtual team getting the contract signed?
Oh my God, yeah. So they started as follow-up managers. So this is the way that the journey went for my virtual acquisition team. They started as a cold caller. They became really good cold callers. Then they became follow-up managers or lead managers, where they're just following up and kind of alley-ooping them to the closers, right? And then we trained them, Adrian Salgado and John Hutton trained them to be killer closers. So it didn't happen overnight, by the way. You got to put in a good amount of work. But you know what I love about the virtual acquisition model?
What's that?
Right? And shout out to my boy Amir, who's like we had virtual people and then we got away from it. And then Amir's like, hey man, this is crushing for me. And then we're like, okay, thanks Amir. We got back into it. Now my virtual acquisition team is like, they're on a dialer. They're on a power dialer. So where your guy's having 5, 10 conversations a day, my guy's having 30 to 50 conversations a day, right? And what I love about my virtual acquisitions team is that they're built like cold callers. They're trained, they're programmed, they're conditioned like cold callers. So they don't mind dialing for 8 straight hours and talking to 50 to 70 people.
Yeah.
How much of an advantage does that give me?
It gives you an incredible advantage.
Right? So you are going to put in some heavy lifting the first, I would say 60 to 90 days. But there's a couple things that are going to happen once you train these VAs to acquire properties for you. One, your turnover isn't going to be what it is right now. 2, they're not entitled babies because, let's be honest, no disrespect to anybody out there, but I'm talking to all the business owners. A lot of your employees here in America, they want more, and then they get it, and then they want more, and then they get it, and they want more, and then they get it. It's just never going to be enough. I'm telling you that right now. There's people that have made over $250,000 that went from making $30,000 to $50,000 to making $250,000 in a year, and they still want more. So that should tell you something. I've been through it all.
I had people that worked with me, when they first started working with me, they were making $30,000 a year. And when they left me, they were making $300,000 a year. And it's like, what else do you want?
They want your babies.
They do. And so I was actually having a conversation with someone last week. They're like, my guy's making $350,000 a year.
And he's not happy.
And he wants more. And there's nothing more to give. Like, what else can I give him?
Over it. I am so done with that model.
And that's
that is for all of you people, for all the other real estate entrepreneurs out there watching this session, right? This show. I am so done with that old school model. That's the old model, man. And I got love for a lot of the pioneers of this industry, like Sean Terry, and people that they embedded this model into us, but I got a new model, and this is the model that I'm running with for the rest of my existence.
Well, that's, another good friend of ours, right, Pace Moore, but he's basically said in a mastermind, I am not hiring any more Americans. I'm over it.
There are so many advantages to hiring virtual people. We can talk about that off record.
Yeah. All right, so last question. This is Dan Bro on Instagram. What is your process for evaluating any new business ideas or opportunities?
I love that question. You got some high level people in this show, right? The first thing that I evaluate is, what is the market cap? Remember we talked about market cap earlier? Mm-hmm. We said, well, if you're a privately owned real estate investing operation, your market cap's gonna, no disrespect, because if it was just real estate for us, we would not be balling. Mm-hmm. Or I don't even want to say that because I'm not a baller. That's for all the clout chasers out there. They're ballers and they got jets and stuff. Anyway, market cap, number 1. 2 is, is this a business venture that's going to make me a minimum of 7 figures? 3, can I scale this business? Can I grow it? Right? Those are 3 factors that determine if I'm going to enter this venture or not.
Yeah.
Those are 3 very important factors for me.
I'm in the middle of a book, From Zero to One by Peter Thiel.
Never heard of it, but I should probably read it, huh? You're Asian. You're smarter than me.
Yeah, Peter Thiel's a really sharp dude. He's the one that they're changing all the IRA laws because he made billions of dollars tax-free. Anyway, wow. One thing he talked about is right now when you're evaluating businesses, you shouldn't be evaluating businesses based off net income today or net profits today. Mm-hmm. When you're working, if you're trying to figure out if you want to be in this industry or not, is what is the net profits going to be in 3 to 5 years? And if you can't figure out what the net profits going to be in 3 to 5 years, then you shouldn't be in that industry.
Well, this is the other thing, right? Like, what did we just say? I said, what is the market cap, right? Mm-hmm. For me, the way that I'm approaching every single venture is like I am now starting with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like in 12 months, 36 months, 5 years, 10 years, right? You have to remember, my goal, if God ever allows it, is for, if God ever allows me to become because, I'm in my 30s now, I don't know if I'll ever be a billionaire, right? But if I ever do, become a billionaire, well, I'm already thinking like a billionaire. How do billionaires think? Billionaires think in decades. Yeah. They think in 10 years. They don't think in like today. Like a lot of people, I used to think that way. Like, oh man, like how much money am I making today? Right. Right. Like that. A lot of 9-to-5 folks and a lot of thousandaires, like they think in like today. Like, what am I making today? What am I making this week? How am I going to pay that bill? Right. 6-figure earners, they think in a matter sometimes of months. I would say sometimes months, quarterly. 7-figure earners, millionaires, they definitely think in years, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5. Billionaires, they think in decades for sure.
Well, if you ever get to that billionaire status, I'm going to need your help because I want to fix and flip the Cardinals, right? Because they need help.
Would I buy the Cardinals?
I don't need you to buy. I just need you to lend me the money so I can buy the Cardinals.
Okay. All right.
All right. Okay. So I want you to think about what you want to leave the listeners with. I'm going to make a couple quick announcements. Guys, if you got value today, which I believe you should have, right? Like, subscribe, share, comment, right? I see 29 likes, but 65 people watching. Hit that like button. We do have our new channel. Tomorrow we're going to be uploading the 5 top objections we're talking to homeowners, so check that out. And then we do have our workshop coming up in a couple of weeks. So DM me the word workshop and we'll see if we can fit you in there. And next week, we got TJ to Johnny.
Oh.
And he's going to be talking about Airbnbs. I've heard really good things about him. What should they be excited about next week?
Man, this dude is teaching gurus how to do Airbnb, so that should tell you something. Like he's teaching my team, he's teaching like myself how to do these short-term rentals, and this is going to be a life-changing event for a lot of, or a life-changing episode for a lot of people. Pay attention, because this guy's going to give away a lot of game.
Awesome. All right, so what are some last thoughts you want to leave everybody with?
You know what could serve this community? Because I love your community, and I've been a part of it since it started. Thank God, and thank you for that. I feel like a lot of people are still thinking too small. They're thinking too small. What is it going to take for you to think bigger than just a $1 million a year or $3 million a year, $5 million a year real estate operation? And don't get me wrong, a lot of people are very happy with that. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. My father-in-law, who makes $60,000 to $70,000 a year driving a City of Phoenix dumpster truck, he's pretty happy with himself. So again, happiness is the ultimate success, right? But for those of you that are like real ambitious entrepreneurs that want to really change the trajectory of your family and want to make the kind of money where you're not only changing your family's life, but now you're changing your family's life, start thinking big and start thinking with the end in mind, and just really understand how much work and how much sacrifice it's going to take for you to accomplish those big, hairy, audacious goals, and commit to it. And commit to that dream with conviction. That's my advice.
That's powerful. That's incredibly powerful. Forgot, guys, again, one more time, do check out our Discord. We're going to be posting a link here. How can someone get a hold of you?
Carlos Reyes on Instagram, Carlos Reyes on Facebook, Latino Poppy on OnlyFans. I'm joking, I don't have a Latino Poppy. I'm just Carlos Reyes on Instagram, bro.
I saw this great meme the other day. It's like,
was it me?
It wasn't about you. Okay. It should have been. It was really, but you're too good looking for it. So it was basically like.
Now I am. Now that I lost 50 pounds.
The message is basically like, please buy from me because I don't look good enough for OnlyFans.
That is marketing to its right. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, brother. Another 3 years. We'll do this again in 3 years.
I think maybe 12 months. Let's get an update in 12 months.
12 months.
All right, cool. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Shout out to Steve Trang. Jump on the Steve Trang. We real estate disruptors.